Well, hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Deer Talk Now. I am your host, Dan Schmidt. Please like, subscribe, click whatever button you have to because we bring these to you once a week and we normally have guests. Today I'm going solo again for one of my Dan rants, as I like to call it. We're going to talk about irreverence in the deer woods, and I'm going to actually expand upon that and call it just irreverence in hunting, because it's something that I know I've been seeing quite often over the past 10 years with the advent and proliferation of social media. I think we all see it, and there's some things that are quite bothersome. And we're going to get to those behaviors in a bit. I think you probably know what I'm talking about. But I'm going to, the basis of today's podcast is going to be something I wrote precisely, I believe it was 20 years ago. This was in my book, Whitetail Wisdom. So I'm going to read this to you. It was a chapter in the book, and I'm quite amazed that my thoughts have changed on hunting tactics and things over the years, but my thoughts on this topic have not changed. So I'm going to talk about it. This was called Take Time to Reflect, and this is about what I see as irreverence in the deer woods and probably arrogance as well. So this is how I go. Is it just me, or have we gotten really greedy about the whitetails that roam our swamps, fields, and forests? Excuse me for being blunt, but I think I'm going to puke if I hear one more person possessively refer to a free-ranging whitetail herd. You probably know what I'm talking about. Quote, "Those public land hunters are killing all of my deer." Quote, "We no longer do deer drives because we might push all of our big bucks onto the neighbor's lands." Or, "Don't plant a food plot near your property lines, otherwise everyone else will be shooting your deer." Possessive, right? What kind of message do such statements send to future generations? Okay, so you've worked hard, you saved money, and you bought land, obtained a lease, or gained exclusive rights to hunt somewhere. You also have invested a lot of your time and money to chase what is that sportsman's dream, a mature buck of wall-hanging proportions. There's nothing wrong with that, and I would say that's what makes America great, that we can do those types of things. Still, it is important to remember that selfishness is not God's way. In fact, it's one of the 7 heresies. If you truly care about your fellow man, take a step back and ponder what's really important in this life. And it's not those things. While you're at it, if I can get on my pulpit for a second, brush up on a few of those commandments that we are no longer allowed to display in public places. Since I'm perched on my stump, I'd also like to take a moment to reiterate a point I made on the pages of Deer and Deer Hunting not so long ago. And I've probably done this yearly, every year in the 28 years that I've worked here. It has to do with humility and respect. Each year, in all the years that I've worked here, I come in contact with hundreds, if not thousands, of deer hunters on a day-to-day basis. That could be through social media, in airports, people watching our TV shows and our videos on social media. I talk with people on the phone. I exchange emails. I greet them at gas stations, deer shows, and various camps across this great land. For the most part, they are hardworking, fun-loving people who truly respect the land and the animals they hunt. However, over the years, I have noticed a disturbing trend. I can't really put my finger on it, but it seems to me that many hunters have stepped off the path of righteousness. I don't believe it's a sharply defined turn, but rather a gentle meandering that occurred over the course of several generations. In general, I believe modern hunters don't truly appreciate the animals that we kill and take home every year. Maybe we're spoiled by today's record deer herds. Maybe our comfortable lifestyles have detached our souls from all things wild. Maybe we just don't care. Minimally, I think all deer hunters should be thankful for a venison bounty, and minimally, I think most people are. However, how many of us truly respect the deer that we kill? How many of us stand in quiet deliberation over a fallen whitetail? How many take a moment to ponder our own existence? This is not about religion. It's about respect. Canada's Cree Indian tribes were especially reverent to slain animals. This goes back hundreds of years. In fact, their entire hunting traditions were built on elaborate rules honoring slain creatures. A Cree hunter's post-hunt behavior was at the top of the list. Hunters were forbidden from over-celebrating their kills, and in fact, even an unintentional boast of a hunter's prowess was thought to be an insult to the animal's spirits and bring that hunter bad luck in the future. Hunters in American tribes followed similar rules. The Cree were in Canada. They eventually moved down in places like North Dakota and things like that. But other tribes made sure that the remains of every deer were respected. It was customary for many tribes to prop up a buck's head, the antlers, in the crotch of a tree or a rock outcropping so the buck's spirit could watch sunrises and sunsets. They also believed that this reassured the animals that they needn't be afraid of yielding their bodies to humans. Other tribes were careful to utilize the entire animal, including every scrap of meat from the carcass. I'm going to bring this in. Hang on, I'm going to bring something in later. I use these examples not to advocate pantheism, the belief that all things are God. I am not doing that. I use these examples to illustrate how far modern man is detached from the earth. I don't believe that taking photos of a dead deer or getting a buck's head mounted is irreverent. If anything, those acts honor the animals in our modern way that our ancestors honored the animals. However, we can rest assured, I think, that the Cree never placed sunglasses on a deer's head, hung a buck's testicles in a tree, or brag how they stuck a doe and watched it bleed out. Furthermore, I doubt an American Indian ever partially skinned a fawn and then, out of pure laziness, cut out the back straps and left the rest to rot. Coyotes got to eat. I've heard that from guys before, and it's really chapped me. A college professor once told me that irreverence toward dead animals is common among people who are anxious about their own mortality. And I would actually now, after 35 years since the college professor told me that, I would say there's a heavy heaping helping of youthful arrogance on top of that, because I see it time and time again. He also told me it just takes one trigger to have the necessary guilt right one's compass. Man! Hey, there's that sound again. We know what that all means. It means we're going to thank one of our sponsors. Today's episode of Deer Talk Now is brought to you by 10 Point and the all-new Nitro 505, the fastest crossbow in the world. With speeds of up to 505 feet per second and 227 foot-pounds of blistering power, the Nitro 505 is the fastest crossbow on the market and the most powerful crossbow ever built by 10 Point. I have not shot this crossbow yet. I am going to later this year, but my buddy Brad Fenson has. You might have already seen the videos on our YouTube page and other places on deer and deer hunting. Brad is reporting that this crossbow has a perfect balance of reverse draw power in a platform that is unmatched in its ability to produce speed and power. The Nitro 505 is equipped with the newly designed RX-8 cam system, a two-stage zero-creep S1 trigger that delivers a consistent, crisp 3.5-pound pull, and the easy cocking and decocking systems that dealers recommend most, the AccuSlide. Check them out today at a 10 Point dealer near you, or go online for more information at 10pointcrossbows.com. Looking at today's world makes me wonder if primitive hunters possessed a far greater understanding of the natural world than their modern counterparts. I want to add to this a couple things. The first thing I want to add is, I talked about post-hunt rituals and how, some of these tribes, they would do elaborate things. Well, here's a couple things. Here are two prayers I found. These are Native American prayers. This is the first one. I do not know where the first one comes credit to. The second one is a Cherokee prayer. The first one is unattributed. But this one goes like this. Thank you, Majestic One, for the honorable hunt. My family and friends shall honor your sacrifice by feeding from your meat. The memory of your last day will be forever a part of me. May my spirit be embraced by the Creator, knowing that you have served your purpose, fulfilled your destiny. And the second one, I'm going to get to a larger point here. And the second one is from the Cherokee Nation. This was the, I guess, how they went about it. Before a hunting expedition, a Cherokee hunter would dip a foot in the pool of water at sundown while singing an ancient chant. He would fast the next day, and again at sundown, dip his foot in water while chanting. On the second night, he would cook a meal, eat, and then spread the ashes from that fire across his chest. On the third morning, after pleasing the fire and the water gods, he would begin the hunt. Now, you might think of that, and you can say, okay, I'm off my rocker, I'm crazy, I'm bringing up some weird stuff that they did thousands of years ago. This is human psyche, people. We can think that we are as advanced or more advanced than anybody, and we're more technologically evolved, and we're not above anything. We're not beyond that stuff. Just because we have cell phones and just because we have air conditioning and cars and things like that doesn't mean the human psyche and how we respond to death, I believe, has not changed in humankind. But what we see today, and I'm sure you see it, on social media, you see it all the time. The ones that I find most perplexing, I guess is the best word. You see a guy shoots a deer, and now he's laying on the ground, hugging the deer, doing a selfie. The deer's tongue's hanging out, it's bleeding, its eyes are laid back in its head. It's dead. Or you see this other one a lot in the waterfowl community, but there's this trend where, it's some kind of conqueror trend, guys and gals. They take the bill of the duck and they put it in their teeth and they're biting it like somebody would put a rose in their mouth or something like that. And that's supposed to be cool or hip or whatever. It's disrespectful and it's irreverent. Now, you might be listening to this and thinking, well, now am I on my pulpit preaching to you that I'm better than you because I say a prayer? No. The way I look at this is you are a representative of this community. And in the hunting community, we know this is a small community worldwide. And everything that we do is on a stage now. And it's being watched by everyone. Whether you like that or not, that's reality. And the behavior, if you want to do whatever you do in the woods and you think it's funny with your friends and family, more power to you. Enjoy yourself. But once you start putting that on social media, the people that are watching, I don't care about the anti-hunters. I'm never going to even engage in an argument with an anti-hunter. Because as Ted Nugent has told me, you cannot argue with ignorance. You can't argue that an honest, sustained, healthy lifestyle, you can't argue with somebody like that. The problem that I see is with non-hunters, people who don't care one way or the other. They're on the fence. And that's the preponderance of people out there. That's the majority. The non-hunters see this on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube. And that stereotype, we are stereotyped. Those mouth-breathing rednecks, that's what they do. That's what they do. They cut off a buck's testicles and they swing them around in the air and they throw them up in a tree. Like a bunch of, Neanderthals. Actually, I don't know if Neanderthals even did that. Or they're smearing blood on their face. I get it. I know that's a ritual for some people. I'm certainly not putting that on social media. There's certain things you just don't do. And if you think it's funny and like I said, and hip and cool. I'm not trying to insult anybody, but that's youthful arrogance. That's believing. I actually wrote this down. Youthful arrogance is you're at the point in your life where you are now understand the word that I'm trying to say here. Arrogance thinks there's a difference between confidence and arrogance. Confidence is having that belief in yourself that you can do something. And when you are confident, you see a confident man or you see a confident woman, they don't have to justify anything. They know that, they're sitting pretty good in their life. Arrogance is when self-doubt overtakes confidence. You have self-doubt somewhere, deep-seated in your psyche, and that's coming out. Or you just don't know how to respond. That moment might have been so powerful that you didn't even understand it, and you're not even aware. You're not cognizant of it. You don't understand what you just did. You just took the life of another living creature, white-tailed deer in this case, and it might not have been pretty. It might not have went down quickly the way you wanted it to. You've seen me come to pieces on this on TV. I'll literally turn into a blubbering mess, and people are ripping on me and calling me names and being real nasty. How could you act like that? I act like that because I wear those emotions on my sleeve. Like I said, I'm not better than you. I'm just in tune with that natural world the way that I see it. And I know that I'm not the only one. And I know that I'm not the only one who has noticed these disturbing trends. A lot of people, you'll even hear Mark Kaiser, he'll say, well, it's mostly the guys. I don't think so. I mean, obviously we are in a male-dominated lifestyle, hunting lifestyle. It is male-dominated. I mean, of the people who buy hunting licenses, 90+% are going to be men. But I see some really ridiculous behavior among women as well, and especially on social media. And justly or not, I think a lot of that is being fueled by a couple things. Insecurities, wanting to fit in, wanting to prove their worth, or the insecurities is probably a big one. The other one is this is a game. Social media is a game. How many followers can I get? How many likes can I get? And we see TV shows built on this for love or likes. No offense to you gals, but it's true. How many likes can I get? How many followers can I get? How much engagement can I get off of this post? Well, I have to do something really whack now. I have to take a picture of me doing something disgusting. And we've seen those. I got to take a picture of me smearing blood on my face or my chest or my arms or, doing something crude with field dressing an animal. We see that. So the judgment I'm casting is don't put it on social media. That's my judgment. What you do on your own land legally is up to you. Why broadcast it to the world? You don't need to do that. You simply don't. And I believe that most people watching this, hopefully I'm preaching to the choir, will agree with me. And what should we do about it? Well, I can sit there and chastise you saying, don't do that. Just use some common sense about it. We're not all perfect. We do things in life, no matter what vocation or what paths we go down. We do things that we're not proud of. But when you do something you're not proud of and you realize it, you usually correct for it. And if you can rein in your fellow hunters, say, hey, come on, man. Yeah, that was all funny when you did it. Maybe. I don't know. But don't post that on social. And there's nothing wrong with deleting stuff either. I've done it. Post something, I shouldn't have said that. Was stupid. That was mean. I've got a little note on my computer. It's on a post-it note. Don't react. It's all about getting reactions. And I think we're above it and we're beyond it. So I know this was a short podcast, but I'm going to say last thing I wrote down. This is another quote which I do not have an attribution for. To be the very best at anything, you have to be your harshest critic. And that is impossible when your starting point is arrogance. But that's beside the point. If we are being watched and judged by everything we do and say and post on social media, take a minute. Think about that little Post-it note. Put a little Post-it note in your brain. Don't react. Or, really? Should I really post that? Is that really funny? Is it really worth it? I think you'll probably wind up second guessing some of the things that you do. Or if you see it, if you see somebody else post it, you don't necessarily have to, and I wouldn't, because the second you throw a little bit of gasoline on the fire, it gets worse, right? We start arguing amongst ourselves, and then the name calling starts, and the profanities fly, and, you know, who are you to tell me what I can post? You don't need to do that. But at the same time, you don't have to feed into it. And on social media, unfortunately, or fortunately, what we see today, if you don't feed into it, it gets no legs and it doesn't go anywhere. So if we stop liking and promoting, sharing such content, I think we're all going to be better off for it. And again, and this is not to be a big brother on you. I guess it is, but people are watching. The people are watching are not our hunting campmates. They're the people who are going to make the difference as to whether hunting continues as we know it or degrades over the years. Thanks for listening to my rant. Again, I am Dan Schmidt. This is Deer Talk Now. We have tons and tons of podcasts that aren't preachy that you can watch. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, deeranddeerhunting.com, and the podcasts themselves, if you're just listening to them and you're not wanting to watch the video versions, are on just about every podcast platform you can find. Just go to our website, deeranddeerhunting.com. We have them all listed there for you in a nice, neat little order. Until next week, thank you for joining us for Deer Talk Now. The Deer Talk Now podcast is brought to you by CuddyLink cell cameras. Up to 24 cameras, one cell plan, and as low as $10 per month. 10-point crossbows, the fastest crossbows in the world. Wildlife Research Center's Scent Killer Gold. Apply it, dry it, and go hunt. Full range hanging systems, the best way to display your shoulder mount trophies. Hunt Stand, the #1 hunting and land management app. And Traditions Firearms. Feel the difference.